PNC also takes a stand on public policy initiatives that affect our customers and our employees, like our CEO Bill Demchak's decision to sign a letter sharing our concerns about the anti-LGBTQ North Carolina House Bill 2 and his advocacy for employment opportunities for people with disabilities. Our medical benefits for eligible employees cover domestic partners and gender affirmation surgery. And through its award-winning pro bono program, our legal department provides a variety of services, including support for transgender individuals wanting to change their names to match their gender identity. Year after year, the Human Rights Campaign has recognized our efforts, giving us a perfect score on its Corporate Equality Index and a designation as a best place to work for LGBTQ equality.
There's no place like home. There's no place like home. There's no Nicole.
Yes, how are you?
I was clicking my heels together, but I don't have any drag shoes on because we don't get to go outside anymore.
That's okay. No shoes needed. You look incredible. How are you doing today?
I just woke up like this,
Hey, I wish I did.
How are you?
Good, good. How's everyone doing? Hey.
Hey, viewers. I have a secret to tell all our viewers, and I hope Miss Julie Seaver's still on. Did you hear her say in Palm Beach that she was promised some blue and green M&Ms in her dressing room?
Yes.
Well, I ate them all because I needed to do his hair.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, Julie.
Hi, everyone. We are coming to you live from Tallahassee. If you haven't already, please make sure you like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And now, welcoming to the stage, the amazing Quixotic.
Hello, Equality Live.
Hi, how are you?
We're going to play you some tunes. Very happy to be here.
We're so excited to have you.
We can't wait to hear what you're going to play for us.
You bet.
All right.
We're with a group called Quixotic, and we're really happy to be here supporting LGBTQ community in Florida. So thank you.
snaps. That was amazing.
Incredible.
Exotic.
Thank
Oh
you guys
my
so much for
God.
hanging out with us this afternoon. Buenas tardes from Kansas City to Florida. Thanks for Equality Live for having us, and we'll see you guys soon. We're Quixotic. Cheers.
Thank
Thank
you so much
you.
for being here.
Wow.
Awesome. Oh my gosh. Nicole, do you think our viewers like that?
Had to have. That was some of the best music I've heard in a long time.
Oh my God, that was fantastic. I just realized I don't think we told people who we were. So
Uh-oh.
I'm Ez Rodriguez. I am the Pinellas Safe and Healthy Schools Coordinator with Equality Florida. No, I don't go to the district office in this fabulous hair. I do have business clothes too. And my pronouns are they, them, theirs in English, and ELLX, ELLX in Spanish, and that is for identifying people who are non-binary.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nicole Parker. I am the project coordinator for the Trans Action Florida program, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. And just a quick reminder to all of our viewers that every dollar is quadruple.
We want to exceptionally thank our AIDS Healthcare Foundation partners for always being by our side, for always helping us with our work. We appreciate you very much. And every dollar today is being matched through our Florida AIDS Walk team. Information is on your screen right now for how to donate. So dig deep in your pockets or in your piggy banks and give what you can. So thank you so much.
Our goal is to fuel the fight for full equality here in Florida, and we only can do that with your support.
Remember, we are coming to you live from Tallahassee. It's a beautiful 75-degree sunny day here. And I just want to let you know what's coming up. We have an amazing community segment coming up. And then after that, we're going to talk to our HIV advocacy team.
Yes, let's welcome our special guests from Tallahassee, Lauren Kelly Manders and Vache Aviance.
Hey, Lauren.
Hi, Nicole.
Hey.
Hi.
I'm Lauren Kelly Manders. I'm the Tallahassee Gala co-chair, and I'm thrilled to be here with my gorgeous friend, Vache Aviance.
Hi, I'm Vache Aviance. I'm the local drag hosted with the mostest here in Tallahassee. And I'm glad to be here with you all.
Lauren, your Tallahassee Gala was canceled. Can you tell us what we missed out on?
Yeah, Nicole, it's kind of like you said, our gala for Tallahassee was supposed to be yesterday, but because of the pandemic, we were unable to celebrate in person. It's kind of sad for us because it's a very special night. It's a room filled with hundreds of people, and we celebrate the accomplishments of our exceptional local leaders. And, you know, it's nice to just come together and remember what we have to be prideful about in our community. So we're sad to miss out this year.
Well, we're sad too. And at the same time, we have this lovely platform. And I also know that you have a Voice for Equality honoree that you want to talk about, Lauren.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ez. This year, we're really excited to give our Voice for Equality award to Going Places Street Outreach. Yay! Going Places was started 7 years ago by Taylor Bureau. It's an outreach program that serves youth who are unhoused, running away, or at risk in an LGBTQ affirming space. They've served over 2,000 youth in our area. So we're really grateful for their work, and congratulations to Going Places Street Outreach.
Congratulations to Going Places Street Outreach in Tallahassee. Now, I know that you have some great support in Tallahassee from local businesses and donors. Do you want to take a moment to say thanks to them?
Yes, we want to thank Blossom Flowers. You know, they provide wonderful, beautiful floral arrangements. We also want to thank Happy Motoring. They give great drinks there. Gain Street Pies. We love getting fat and, you know, getting full off of the lovely pizzas. Lucy and Leah's Cupcakery. Delicious cupcakes and treats. And all of our in-kind sponsors, artists, and businesses. We thank you so much.
So switching gears a little bit here, I have friends in Tallahassee, here where we are, and I've been hearing a lot about the LGBTQ community organizations. What's boot camp? Because I like boots. I like boots with sequins. I like boots with stars on them. So what's boot camp?
Well, I'm sure you could wear your boots to Rooted Resistance's root camps. They have weekly root camps that are designed to create a socially just and accessible wellness space for trans and queer community members. It's excellent. And you can find more information about Rooted Resistance at their website, rootedresistance.com, or on their Facebook page.
That's really awesome. You know, we're all going to have to go because we got to work off this quarantine weight.
Oh, I've been eating cookies. I've been eating chips. I was also told that there's a volleyball league and that could work, except for these nails. I don't know about that. But is it TIGA? Can you talk about TIGA?
Well, yes. Actually, that's the Tallahassee Gay Athletic Association, pronounced TGAA, TIGA. If you love playing volleyball, kickball, football, or you want to lift some weights, gain a little muscle, you want to run a couple of laps, run a couple of miles, please feel free to join the Tallahassee, the TIGA group. Yes. Want to get your workout on? You can join them also on Facebook.
So, and if you are into running laps or lacing up your shoes, and running is more your style, as it is for me, we have the Tallahassee Frontrunners group, and it's a running group for LGBTQ folks and their allies and friends, and they accept all fitness levels, which means I can definitely join. You can also find them on Facebook, and they're probably socially distancing a little bit right now, spacing out their running paces, but they're still out there putting in the miles.
I was just wondering too, because people have to be so social distancing. I like to say physical distancing like some people are, because we really need to keep in contact socially. But what is the community doing there to really keep those connections going?
Doing stuff like this, we're especially the local drag community. We've been doing shows, trying to keep in contact with one another, making phone calls, checking on one another is very important. This community that we live in is a very tight-knit community. So, we do things together a lot. So the safe spaces that we have are very few and limited. So it's very important that we keep tabs on one another, communicate with one another, check on one another, and let each other know that, we love and we miss them deeply and care so much about them.
It's true. Now, Vache, I've been told you started a group called Capital T in Tallahassee. Tell us about that group.
Yes. Thank you, Nicole. Pretty much, Capital T supports the transgender, non-binary, gender non-conforming, gay, lesbian, bisexual, and queer breathe communities through education, advocacy, and empowerment. We're also founded on Facebook. We meet every first Tuesday of the month. Something that I felt that the community really needed. So we're trying to expand, we're trying to continue to grow, and we're trying to actually continue to meet the needs of our community. So I'm very happy to be a part of that. And you guys, I'm gonna get prepared to get ready for this show that I'm gonna give you guys. It's been a minute, we've been on stage, so I gotta go, I gotta get my nails done. Aviance.
Bye, Vache. We'll see you in a little bit for your performance. Right now, it's my pleasure to bring to the stage an equality champion, Mayor John Daly, to our conversation. Welcome, Mayor Daly.
Hey, am I coming in okay? Can you hear me and see me okay?
I can hear you, but you can get the memo. You had to wear your best hair.
Right. Absolutely, yeah. Everybody in the Daly family, it's been a solid month since anybody's gotten a haircut. We're all looking a little shaggy right now, but I guess everybody across the country is and across the world. Hey, thanks for having me on. It's great to see everybody.
Great to see you. Mayor Daly, thank you for being here today.
Sure.
We know that Tallahassee just earlier this month passed the state's most inclusive protections against conversion therapy.
Right.
And I understand that there were some really fierce advocates on the ground that helped push that campaign. And I also just wanted to say that we appreciate that you asked the city attorney to work with Equality Florida to shape that policy. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Well, actually, it was fascinating. It wasn't as big of a heavy lift as I think any of us thought, because all five of us were on board on the city commission. I mean, from day one, we all supported it. We knew that we had to work on some of the language to make sure that we had the right language in place for full protections. So first and foremost, the city commission backed it, which was great. We've got a great progressive community. We've got a great progressive city commission. We're doing some incredible work. However, none of us are attorneys on the city commission. So it was important that we provide, and we do this on many different occasions, many different issues. If there are experts in the field that can help complement what we're doing at the city, in this case, John Harris Maurer, who's legal counsel for Equality Florida, that could help our city attorney with some of the language. By all means, we welcome all the assistance that we can get. And I love John Harris. He's a great guy. He is an expert in the field. He really did help us craft some incredible language. And let's face it, Equality Florida is the official voice in the state, and they played an incredible role, provided great guidance, and as a result, we've got an incredible piece of local legislation that passed.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. And we're really glad to have an ally in you. I mean, when someone's a mayor, they sign up to take care of all the people in their whole city, not just a few people, right? So thank you for taking care of all your people, and especially our LGBTQ youth and families.
You got to believe it. Well, I like to think I got a track record, and your actions speak a lot louder than just words. Don't forget, I spent 12 years on the county commission before running for mayor. And when I was the county commissioner, I actually spearheaded the project over on the county side to create our local human relations committee, which then went on to draft the Leon County Human Relations Ordinance. That was a pretty big fight back in the day, and we passed it. And we are very proud that it still stands in Leon County. So, we've got a long track record in Tallahassee, Leon County of standing up and I believe doing what's right. And even in the face of opposition, we carry through.
You have been very busy, and you also launched an LGBTQ advisory council, which is one of only 3 such councils in the state. So why is that so important as well?
Well, I got to pull my rock stars like Lauren involved, to make sure that we got the right people sitting there guiding us. No, look, people forget that when we get elected to office, we're elected as lay people. And whether it's the LGBTQ community, whatever the issue is, it's important that you bring experts to the table. And so when we first launched the idea of, hey, we need to create a mayor's council on LGBTQ issues, just to make sure that, hey, we're doing a great job in Tallahassee, but there's a lot of work still to do. So how do you accomplish your goal? You bring the leadership to the table. You make sure that you are carrying on the conversation. You make sure that we're having those great discussions and sometimes hard discussions on what the next steps are. Lauren, I am proud to have you on the committee. You're doing great work. We've got a great team, and we're going to be moving forward.
Lauren, you are on the council that the mayor created. What kind of message does this send to the greater community, and why do you think it's important?
Thanks so much, Mayor Daley, for that compliment, and thank you, Nicole. Well, Mayor Daley, you stole a lot of my talking points. I was going to tout your track record and just say that I was in the room for that 2009 Human Rights Ordinance vote, and it was an incredible moment, especially for a young person as myself. So you have a decade of support, and I think it can't be overstated that a lot of this movement has been caused by actions initiated by Mayor John Daley. So it sends the message, the new advisory council sends a message that we are an inclusive community and we do want to have every voice at the table. Members of the community are from the queer faith community, the police and fire departments, the nonprofit sector, advocacy organizations like Equality Florida, and then, citizens like myself. So we've had several productive meetings already. And as Mayor Daley already mentioned, there are plenty of areas to be proud of, but then we have the opportunity to work on moving other policy areas forward. But then we're just thrilled for the opportunity to really move the capital city forward, and to do so under the leadership of someone as authentic as John Daley is just extra special.
Well, I appreciate it. And Lauren, let me go ahead and jump in. We haven't had a chance to talk about this, not to throw you a curveball, live statewide or anything.
Fine.
But one of the things that we do need to work on right now, and I'm going to task you to get in touch with the rest of the community, and whether we do it virtually or a phone conversation, whatever, we need to hone in not just on the LGBT community, but on all aspects of Tallahassee in regards to mental health during the coronavirus and during separation. So I had we did a video call, a Facebook Live not too long ago with Jay Reeve. I sit on the board, as you know, of the Appalachia Center, which is our mental health hospital here in Tallahassee, and provides a lot of great services. It is time to do another Facebook Live for our community and keep the conversation about mental health along. I mean, we concentrate so much, Nicole, on physical health. We concentrate so much on social distancing and the CDC guidelines. We have got to do a better job of talking about mental health issues during this time of stay at home. And people react differently. Some people are alone. Some people are surrounded by family. We need to make sure that we take care of everybody in this community, but we need to carry on that conversation, Lauren. So I'm asking you to help me reach out. Let's get the group together. Let's talk about what we need to be doing and how we can move forward, because, this is a new day and a new time on how we do business and live. And we gotta make sure that we stay in touch and bring all the resources to the table for that conversation.
I wholeheartedly agree. I think that the way we connect is going to look different for some time ahead,
Right.
maybe throughout the rest of the year, maybe into next year.
Sure.
And so however we connect, whether that be virtually or like I did with my friends yesterday afternoon, standing 10 plus feet apart in their front yard, just having a chat, just to see people in person. It's different. And to uphold that connection and make sure everybody is checking in is absolutely crucial, especially for our community.
It is. And, it's so funny. And I bet you can go anywhere in the state of Florida, and we're all trying to figure this out, because don't take this the wrong way, but it's like hurricanes. We're used to hurricanes. Hurricanes, we know it's coming. We prepare. The event happens. We hunker down. After the hurricane, then we roll up our sleeves and we go and we take care of ourselves and our families and we take care of our community, right? This is different because there's no defined end. And we're all struggling in our own way of how personally, as a family, friends, and as a community, state, and nation, how are we going to move forward? And I think that adds an extra layer of mental health stress on top of, do we have a job? Do I not have a job? How am I putting food on the table? How am I moving forward? How am I taking care of my body and exercising? How am I taking care of all those other things? So I agree, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate your help and willingness to serve on the advisory council, because we are Tallahassee strong. We are Tallahassee proud. We are known for taking care of each other, and so we got to step up to the plate.
Mayor Daley, what's very powerful is what you spoke to about mental health. And I think a lot of people, that's a subject that people don't want to talk about, especially in communities of color. You're raised to not go talk to a counselor or not talk about your problems or your feelings. And I think there's so much healing and so much power in really taking hold of your mental health and doing things like self-care, going to see somebody and really talking about those things. So I think it's just powerful as a mayor, to come out and say, we have to take care of our mental health just as much as our physical health.
Nicole, I appreciate that. And look, I think it's time that we all need to bring our resources to the table. For instance, I know Equality Florida has hotlines statewide. We have local hotlines, 211 of the Big Bend. We have the Appalachian Center. Communities also have their mental health facilities as well. It's important that we push all the information out there, and then you allow the individual, where do you feel comfortable and who do you feel comfortable connecting with? But we got to make sure that everybody is educated on, you've got places to go, you've got people to talk to, you've got websites to visit, and we're all here to help. We're all here to get through this together. Yeah, these are difficult times nonetheless, but we're going to pull through. We're going to pull through, and we'll be stronger on the other end as we were when we began.
Thank you so much, Mayor Daley. That's really great to hear, because I work with the Safe and Healthy Schools program in Pinellas County, and we are really worried about our LGBTQ youth who are stuck at home with unsupportive adults, right? Mm-hmm. So we want to work with people in all different cities to see what they're doing, so we can talk to our school systems, our public schools, and let them know the best things that they can do to reach out to kids that might not have support at home. So thank you very much.
Amen. I think it's wonderful what you're doing, and keep it up. Keep it up.
Great. Well, it was amazing to have both of you. Nicole, sorry.
Yeah, no, I have one quick question for Lauren. So as an advisory council member, for those who are viewing us that may not know what exactly an advisory council does, what are some initiatives that you all work on?
Well, we've had a couple meetings, but we're still kind of formulating exactly how we want to proceed. So I'll be honest and say that there's a very long list of things that we would like to accomplish. And it's at the point now where we're going to probably begin to assess what is immediately able to be accomplished quite simply through maybe a simple policy request that the mayor can approve, versus more longstanding efforts like maybe the creation of a LGBTQ community center here in town. So right now it's a lot of just sharing thoughts. Everybody is there with a very large amount of enthusiasm, and Tallahassee is one of those communities that really, like I said, likes to engage everyone. And so if we can get engaged at multiple levels, then that's what we're going to set out to do. I'm just, again, really grateful for the opportunity, and I think we have a lot to accomplish.
Yeah, Lauren, we're going to do some absolutely amazing things in Tallahassee. That is for sure. But we are at the beginning of this journey. I mean, look, we formed the committee and jumped right in on the conversion therapy ban, and y'all were right there to help. Could not thank you enough about it. By the way, let me go ahead and also mention, we're real proud. Even before we, and I know we got to wrap up in a second, but even before we formed the committee, I'm proud of the Tallahassee City Commission for passing paid parental leave for both moms and dads, for both live birth and adoptions, making sure that we take care of our employees at the city of Tallahassee. Now, we like to lead by example, and it's important, and I hope that other private businesses and nonprofits will step up to the plate as well. But yeah, we're taking care of our employees at the city of Tallahassee, and that's something for us to be proud of as well.
Thank you both so much for being on this segment of the show. And I do love Tallahassee. I'm a Gator, chomp, chomp, chomp. So thank you so much for coming on. And thanks for all the great work in Tallahassee from everybody that pulls together to help the community and sharing what you're doing with us today. So take care, be safe, and we'll see you soon.
Hey, this is incredible what we're doing today, by the way, and I'm proud to be a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Daley. Thank you, Lauren.
Thanks so much for having me. Thanks. Take care.
Bye.
All right. So today's event is a fundraiser, and every dollar you give is quadrupled. We would again like to thank the AIDS Healthcare Foundation for their partnership. Every dollar is being matched through our Florida AIDS Walk team, and information is on your screen. So if you can donate, anything you can give is certainly appreciated, whether it's a small amount, a large amount, an in-the-middle amount, an in-kind donation, a kind note, a kind word, whatever you can do, because that's how we form community and stick together. So
our goal is to fight for full equality here in Florida, and we can only do that with your support. Now, introducing to the stage the fabulous, the gorgeous Vache Aviance.
All right. I said, Ben, are y'all ready to party with me? Oh, no. I mean, when I say party, I want us to really go, though. Are you ready to go there? Oh, yeah. Here we go. Give me what I want. Somebody else gone. To keep on doing it wrong before you know it, you'll be sleeping alone. Yeah, yeah. 'Cause you've been slipping lately. All this shit I'm saying, you must have let it bump your head if you're thinking that I'ma keep going through this. Spinning round and round like a broken record. Don't you tune me out? It's the last time I'm telling ya. You think I'm so predictable. Just read my mind and you would know that you're running out of time. So you better get it right. Oh. You wouldn't know what to do with your life. I mean, you couldn't even know you're effing it right. You say you don't care about me, but we know you'll be right back begging for me. Give up and you abuse it. With your lies and your excuses. Tired of empty promises. Making me sick from spinning round and round. Like a broken record, don't you tune me down. It's the last time I'm telling ya. You think I'm so blind before. Just read my mind and you would know that you're running out of time. So you better get it right. All right, give the drummer some. I said give the motherfucking drummer some. Hey, all right. But you're running out of time, so you better get it right out and now. Let the broken record, don't you tune me out. The last time I'm telling you, you think I'm so predictable. Just read my mind and you would know that you're running out of time, so you better get it right. Now, you better get it right, baby, because you're running out of time and you're wasting life.
Work! Woo!
Wow! How incredible
Oh my
was that?
That was incredible. And you know how we're all like inside, so we're only usually wearing our pajamas? I want Bashay's outfit to walk to my mailbox.
Yeah.
I want to leave my front door and walk to my mailbox, which is about a block away with all the rest of the townhome mailboxes, and wear that in front of all my neighbors' houses.
They will love it. Do it. Live out loud.
I am planning on it. Bashay, will you let me borrow it?
So I think Vishay wants to come back and say hi. Vishay?
There she is. You on mute, girl. Come back here.
Hey,
Hey,
girl.
girl, that was
Girl,
incredible.
good enough. I did a performance, girl.
You did great.
That was
Oh,
incredible. So much
fun.
cardio too. I mean, you look beautiful, and then you're getting your exercise too. So
Thank you. I'm going right to Publix after this right now. We're gonna get me some
A public
good
sub.
old Publix sub. Right with this hairdo right here, right now.
Yeah.
let's do it. Let's go to Publix and wear like some sequin masks and just walk in and order sub.
Okay. So I just want to take the time out really quickly to thank you all. Thank you, Quality Live, for doing this. And also this gives us a chance to thank our community. We miss everyone so much. We missed our Pride Festival, which is one of our largest festivals here. We want to take time out to thank the staff and everybody that deals with Pride. And I'm out of breath, y'all. Excuse me, because it's been a minute. I've been in the house just sitting down and watching Netflix and all that good stuff. But, I just want to take the time out to just thank the community. I want to let you guys know that we miss you all so much. And hopefully we can gather together next year and try this all over again. So thank you, Equality Florida. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Ez and Nicole, for just being great hosts. And, hopefully, one step at a time, one day at a time, we will get through this together.
Yes, we will. Thank you so much for being amazing.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
I love her.
Nicole, I had a thought.
Yeah.
A lot of people, like when I'm doing drag at a theater or a club or something, they talk about drag and they think that all drag queens are transgender people.
Yes.
And I wanted to take a minute to let our viewers know or remind people that being a drag queen is a fine art. It's building art on our bodies. And being a transgender person is your internal sense of your gender identity. So some people who are transgender do also do drag as an art, but not all transgender people are drag queens, and not all drag queens are transgender. So I just wanted to mention that because it's something to think about, and we want to respect everyone for who they are, and then also like live it up for our art, right? So,
and I think it's an easy mistake to make sometimes. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, who you are is who you are, and how you express yourself is how you express yourself. So like for me, I don't do drag, but I appreciate the art and I watch it all the time. But just because I'm trans doesn't mean that I'm automatically in drag, but I could if I wanted to. You know what I mean? So I think it's all about what you want to do, how you want to live your life. As long as you are living authentically, that's all that matters.
Exactly. And I'm a non-binary person, transmasculine out of drag. So when I go to do my work things, I wear a suit and tie.
Mhm.
You wouldn't catch me in a dress unless you paid me lots of money, and unless I wasn't drunk. So thanks for talking to me about that. So.
Of course, absolutely.
All right. Well, Equality Florida is continuing its work as a resource to the LGBTQ community during this time of crisis. And this is what we're all about. We're really about bringing community together all the time, whether we're stuck at home or whether we're out in the streets or doing trainings or going to events or inviting people to events. Another resource that we have for folks is our COVID-19 resource guide, and you can find that on the Equality Florida webpage. We also have some resources specifically for LGBTQ youth with our Safe and Healthy Schools team. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And now I would like to introduce Alejandro Acosta, our HIV advocacy coordinator, who's doing amazing work around HIV awareness and prevention, and John Harris Muir, our public policy director, who is doing incredible work in the Capitol. Hey there, Alejandro and John.
Hey, John.
Hello.
Hola, Alejandro.
Hola.
And a big shout out to mis Latinos, Latinas, y Latinx people. Yay!
Así es.
We
Well,
truly do this work without generous support from the community. So we'd like to give a huge thanks to your team for being here, and we are excited to hear what you're going to talk about.
Absolutely. We're excited to come to you, for my part at least, from Tallahassee, where we've seen some of our great leadership, great performances. Michelle is always phenomenal. And I saw comments blowing up on Facebook that folks loved it. We're so lucky to have her here and have leadership like Mayor Daley, activists like Lauren Kelly Manders. So yeah, great to be able to come onto the Tallahassee segment and also talk about another really important component of Equality Florida's work, and that is our HIV advocacy project. So with that, I wanted to reintroduce Alejandro Acosta, who is the HIV Advocacy Project Director. Formerly, he did HIV work with Broward County Public Schools and their Department of Diversity and Inclusion. He is a state and national presenter on HIV stigma, and we're thrilled to have him here to talk a little bit more about our HIV work. We are also going to be joined by some other special guests. Very excited to have Dr. Julie Servos from FAU, as well as Senator Jason Pizzo from Miami, on with us a little bit later in the segment. So with that, Alejandro, I was hoping you could just tell us a little bit more about the current status of HIV in Florida. I know it's an issue that sometimes doesn't crop up in the news as much as it once did, but still is a really important issue for our work.
Right. Thank you guys for having us. This is really a great platform to just share some information on a Sunday when we're all locked up. What we've been doing here in Florida in terms of HIV seems to not be working. Right now, Florida continues to be the #1 state for HIV transmissions. And this is, we have about 20 million people compared to California, which has less transmission and double our population. Our demographics are also very special here in Florida. We have a lot of immigrants. We have a lot of people of color. And those are the communities: Black men who have sex with men, Latino men, transgender women, transgender women of color. Those are the communities that are really being impacted. And as well as our aging population, it is a fact that people who are 50 and over, that is our population in HIV. Half of the people living with HIV are 50 and over. So in Florida, we are a retirement state. And that means that we do have a lot of people who are 50 and over. We have great, it's a tragedy really what's happening, because we can stop it. And so, yeah, that's unfortunately the problem that we're having here in Florida. Also we have in Florida, a huge issue is that our laws have not been changed since 1986. And that is really what we have been working hard to change, because it needs an update. There's no reason to be criminalizing people just for their HIV status.
Absolutely. Well, and I do want to bring on another partner in our great work around HIV advocacy, and that is Dr. Julie Servos. She's with FAU's Schmidt College of Medicine, where she's the Associate Dean for Diversity and Inclusion and an Associate Professor of Integrated Medical Science. So we're really excited to have one of our great partners, Dr. Servos, on with us.
Thank you so much, John Harris and Alejandra. It is an absolute pleasure to be here with all of you today. Thank you so much to Equality Florida and Equality Live. I'm so happy to participate today. So what I thought I would start out is just describe a little bit my role at the College of Medicine at FAU and my partnership, or our partnership, with Equality Florida, which I feel is so important. Just to give everyone a sense of how medical students are trained, when I went to medical school 20 years ago, there was no training around LGBTQ proficiency or any education really about how physicians or medical students can learn how to respectfully interact and engage and enter into a genuine and authentic relationship and establish trust with members of the LGBTQ community. I myself became an LGBTQ ally and advocate when I was in college. I was engaged in research and really trying to look at cross-cultural decision-making at the end of life. And back in the late 80s, early 90s, the people who were dying in San Francisco were gay men with AIDS and people who had cancer. So I became an ally at that time and found it remarkable that when I was then a medical student, that there was no training. And so what Alejandra and I and others like SunServe, we've partnered since the inception of the College of Medicine to really bring LGBTQ training to our medical students. We're a community-based medical school, and it is so important for us to get outside of the classroom and have our students have genuine and authentic interactions. And they are hungry and thirsty for this knowledge. They want to care for the LGBTQ community in the best way they know how. Alejandra and I partnered this year actually to bring a panel of individuals, people living with HIV, those on PrEP, and it was really a transformative experience. The medical students commented to me and to others that it was so helpful to hear the individual stories, because that's really where the power is in our relationships and in how we train our students, is when they can have those one-to-one interactions or hear the personal journeys. That's how you decrease stigma. That's how you train excellent medical physicians and providers that can provide, wonderful care, so much care that is needed for the LGBTQ community, where the health inequities are quite vast.
That's great. Well, I'd love to hear about some of that education that happens in our HIV advocacy project. And Alejandra, I know it's a broad project that really works in a lot of areas. I was wondering if you can tell us a little bit about some of the other areas that the project gets involved in.
Well, Dr. Sever just gave us an example of some of the work that we do within the community. We are trying to educate stakeholders. And in this case, medical students are stakeholders. If we train medical students, we are impacting a lot of people at the same time, right? We might be training one doctor, and that doctor is going to impact thousands of lives, as well as other coworkers. So we also do that with law enforcement. We have been trying to show our training in front of law enforcement agencies. We are also, we have done training for media, for example, on how to report without using stigmatizing language. Also, another project that we actually collaborated on this year with Dr. Servos was presenting in front of internal medicine resident students at the Boca Regional Hospital. And that was it was not a panel discussion, but it was still a presentation of what HIV is beyond diagnosis and treatment, because we are aware that a lot of our physicians might not have that firsthand experience after going, studying, for example, the infectious disease or active practice. So we really want them to be culturally competent in terms of HIV to deal with patients and with people living with HIV from all cultures and different backgrounds.
That's terrific. And I want to get back to Dr. Servos in a second about some of the ongoing work that Equality Florida can help with at FAU. But before we go there, Alejandro, it does sound like the HIV Advocacy Project is covering a lot of ground. So really, how does it all get done on a day-to-day basis?
Well, we couldn't do it without other organizations. We have partnered with other organizations throughout the state that are either direct service organizations for HIV or educational, higher education, organizations or institutions like FAU, FIU. And so it is one person. I'm here in Broward, and we have you over there in Tallahassee. So a lot of the work also that we do in criminalization happens in Tallahassee. We are part of one of the founding members of the Florida Justice HIV Coalition, and we work together. It's a group of advocates and organizations throughout the state, and actually national partners as well, who are working tirelessly to try and change these laws that have not been, again, updated since 1986, That is a long time. And now, like with this particular COVID-19 emergency, it's shown, it has reminded us of again, the power of the LGBT community when it comes to really advocating for ourselves and for when we have this pandemic before, we were those who were there at the front line. So it's it's bringing back the deja vu of stigma, of a lot of misinformation. And so that's what we try to do, really. We try to educate also the general public that HIV is not the same, that HIV has changed, that we are in actually 2020, and people who are on treatment, for example, don't transmit sexually to anybody. It is important that that message gets across. I could not do it alone. We also have a great internship program. Every year we hired, actually for pay, one intern. This past semester we had two, actually, because they were so great. And so we try to do that education throughout many different outlets, and ask, talking about HIV sometimes it's not as fun as people think. But for me, it's very much fun. I like to have fun with it. I like to challenge thought, and I like to make people understand that talking about HIV is okay. And that, of course, talking about HIV, you cannot separate from sex. So I love talking about sex. I love talking about HIV. I am in my element. Could not do it without, again, the support of people in our homes, our members, and people in the community, like Julie Servos, and a lot of these organizations that we work with, who are absolutely great and doing their jobs.
Great. Well, sounds like really great work. And I saw a comment in the live feed about how to get more engaged. So glad to know that there are those opportunities through the internship program and elsewhere for advocacy. And I think we'll talk about that a little bit more at the end of the segment. But Dr. Servos, can you tell us how Equality Florida can partner with FAU going forward, and sort of what opportunities there are in the future to work together?
The opportunities abound. As I just mentioned really our interaction with the first year students, but the LGBTQ proficiency training and education that I oversee really crosses actually the 4 years. So as the students progress in their training, we present more advanced simulations, if you will. So another way that we've partnered with Equality Florida and other organizations is we actually use standardized patients in the training of our medical students. And what standardized patients are is they're essentially actors, and we recruit from members of the community, including the LGBTQ community, where they're provided a script of playing patient, if you will. And so they go into a safe environment with a medical student and engage in just a regular office visit. And that allows the students to comfortably ask questions and for standardized patients to give feedback. So we actually have a training opportunity with transgender patients. We recruit transgender individuals to come and become these standardized patients, and it's a very dynamic session. In addition, we have a very robust service learning project that is implemented in the second year of medical school. And what I actually do, and Alejandra and I have had conversations, is about training our medical students to really engage the community, not just to develop and collaborate and bring programs and services, even their own services, into the community, but really think about research questions, how we can tackle health inequities in the LGBTQ community with our community partners. So we have a program called Partners in Equity and Empowerment, and we work with multiple community partners. Equality Florida is going to be one of them. And these are really projects that the medical students will engage over the 4 years of medical school and beyond. So there are a lot of exciting opportunities. And the final plug is what Alejandro had mentioned, and that is his engagement with our residency programs. So as some people may know, once you finish medical school, you have to actually train for another 3 years, and that's called a residency program in your specialty of choice. And you need to do that before you're licensed to practice medicine. And as Alejandro mentioned, he also trains our residents. And so expanding that through our residency programs is another powerful way to educate and, again, reduce stigma, reduce health inequities in our local South Florida area. And that's really the mission of a community-based medical school like Florida Atlantic University.
I want to interject right there just to amp it up. Is right after we did that panel discussion of people living with HIV with those medical students, we had one particular student who stayed behind, and he hugged every single member of that panel. We're not sure what happened, but we are sure that we touched them in some way. And again, just leaving that day with the thought that these medical students will be forever touched by the experience of talking to people living with HIV prior to actually talking to them. It's amazing. Today, we still suffer from HIV stigma within the healthcare communities. And it is unfortunate, but it is a true statement. It is a fact that we have people still discriminating for people living with HIV, for their status, for their LGBTQ preferences. For whatever reason, HIV continues to be an unfortunate stigma in the healthcare community.
Absolutely. Well, we so appreciate the intentionality that FAU is bringing into that space, and really centering the meaningful involvement of people living with HIV in that process, and ensuring that you can have that sort of firsthand learning, because we know that will shape them for the rest of their careers. So thank you, Dr. Sorvas, so much for bringing that perspective in. We're really grateful to work with you and other partners like the Florida HIV Justice Coalition to be doing that sort of education around the state and make sure that we really do have that focus on ensuring best outcomes for the community of people living with HIV. We couldn't do it without partners like you.
Thank you so much, Sean Harris and Alejandro. My pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. Great to see you. Enjoy your Sunday.
Thank you.
And with that, I wanted to shift gears a little bit. Alejandro, you mentioned earlier the importance of modernizing Florida's outdated HIV laws as part of our HIV advocacy project. And now we're very honored to have Senator Jason Pizzo from Miami join us. He is one of our great statewide champions on LGBTQ issues and has really taken a leadership role on HIV policy, along with Representative Nick Duran, also from Miami. So, Senator, welcome. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. I serve Miami, but John, I'm actually in Tallahassee right now. I'm trying to
terrific. Well, I saw that on Facebook this week. Senator Pizzo is always on the clock. So when he couldn't get answers down from his Miami office, he and his fabulous legislative assistant, Maggie, hopped in the car and actually drove up to Tallahassee to best advocate for their constituents. So we know those folks in Miami are lucky to have you. And with that, I was hoping you could just tell us a little bit about why you see a need for this sort of HIV legislation in the Capitol.
Sure. So as you mentioned, Representative Nick Duran in the House and myself in the Senate, but really kudos to Nick Duran. He's really got the subject matter expertise and has been pushing really hard, and I'm kind of just joining along with him. But this is obviously a really, really critically important issue. I think it's the coincidence and the irony that we're in this virus crisis right now that's really making us sort of rethink a lot of best practices and probably an opportunity, unfortunately, with loss of life and with people being sick and lives being uprooted. I think it really puts things in perspective on a relative basis about how the stigma of HIV really needs to be peeled away. And this past legislative session, Representative Duran in the House and myself in the Senate, we filed bills, identical bills that were referenced to committees. We had done the same last year and got nowhere. This year, I actually got on my first committee of reference. We had a 9-0 unanimous vote yes in the first committee. And we've been chipping away, and I don't like things to go incrementally at all. I'm sort of an all or nothing kind of guy. If it's the right thing to do, then that's what we should be doing. However, we have many different generations and backgrounds up here as well in Tallahassee, which is a diplomatic way of saying there's a yeah. So different strokes. So Florida is a wonderfully diverse place, and it really evidences itself when you come out with bills like this. But we're going to be right back at it next session, and I do think in the midst of what we're seeing right now that this is actually an opportune time.
Absolutely.
Senator Pizzo is in Miami, who is, of course, the number one, unfortunately, the number one county in the nation for new transmissions. We love Miami because it's a great place to come and visit, and it's a great place to party. So we need to keep healthy. We need to keep these visitors and everybody in Florida really healthy.
And from a legal perspective, it's not only stigmatized socially still, obviously, but even in the law. And it's our job, obviously, as senators and representatives to file bills to make laws. Some of those have civil consequences, but HIV still suffers from the most severe criminal penalties associated with any type of sexually transmitted disease. So gonorrhea, chlamydia, All other types of STDs are treated as lower level crimes, where there's a transmission of HIV not only comes as a felony, which is ridiculous, but on top of that, it's qualified under a statute that makes you ineligible upon conviction to vote, and it places you in a sexual offender status. And so, if that isn't a latent stigma attached many years later unnecessarily, I don't know what is. The other thing, quickly, I might mention is the argument that I, sort of espouse and try to make to everybody is the crime of transmission requires you to know that you're HIV positive. Well, you don't have to be, a legal scholar to understand that incentivizes people not to be tested and not to know their status. And so we are disincentivizing people to get necessary treatment or know their situation, because they don't want to have the knowledge requirement, because you can't be convicted of something criminally if you didn't know. And so that goes against logic for me. And so obviously we want to encourage people for PrEP. We want to encourage people for testing and for treatment. And really, I go back to, a childhood understanding and appreciation for HIV, to learn and understand about transmission, about safety, about all of these things. And the stigma remains when you put itself in the context of where we are right now with coronavirus, and you see that, extended exposure. John Harris Maurer was in my office probably 97 hours, during session. I'm not worried about anything. Today, I don't care if he's black, white, gay, straight, Chinese, American. I don't care where he's from. It's are you okay? Are you good? And that, but that just shows you where we are and where we need to go.
Yeah.
Senator Pitts, let me just interject real quick. What we do also, part of Equality Florida's work, is to come and actually educate lawmakers, because I wish that all of the people in Tallahassee were as progressive and as fabulous as you are. But the fact of the matter is that there's a lot of education that still needs to happen within the congressmen or congresspeople in Tallahassee.
Let me tell you one important encouraging point. Last year, a lot of deaf ears. This past session, one-on-one, which is the most effective to do because people don't want to be sort of embarrassed in public or called out or something like that. And yeah, there are party lines and philosophical lines. I will tell you, this past session, and John Harris knows this, one-on-one, we had a majority of people on board. One-on-one, in confidence, so long as they had political cover and protection and all these issues. And I think in a bipartisan fashion, the first committee of reference to get a 9-0 unanimous yes on our entire bill was pretty remarkable and a good sign of things to come.
Absolutely. Well, and then we touched briefly on the idea of being undetectable and how that plays into policy. But for those who may be watching and less familiar with it, Alejandro, could you just touch for a second on what being undetectable means in this U=U campaign we've heard about?
Sure. Well, so HIV again has changed a lot, and back in the 90s, the treatment with 3 different pills came about, and now we have oh my God, I'm sorry, with this intense rain happening right now outside my window, which is right here. So it is, again, very, very, very important to keep that in mind, that when we are educating people about HIV, we let them know that right now HIV is different, is manageable. People living with HIV can live normal lives, healthy lives, the same, for example, the same lifespan. So, for example, the U=U campaign, it is a national, actually a worldwide campaign that says that people who are undetectable, those are people who are on treatment, that they're detectable, that they're viral detect. It's interesting because, like Tisa was saying, right now we're all talking about viral loads, which is something that was not happening before COVID-19, right? It was something that was very specific to the HIV world. So right now, if you are undetectable for HIV, that means that you cannot transmit sexually to anybody. One of the great important pieces of this legislation is that it allows people to donate blood and organs when they are living with HIV to other people living with HIV. So again, HIV continues to change every day, and so we have to make sure that the law allows for that, so that when the science changes, that the law can change itself. And for a law to not have been again updated in 30-something years, those laws were also passed by very uneducated and very LGBTQ non-friendly lawmakers. So it's again very important to think about the big, massive changes in terms of the healthcare and treatment of HIV right now.
Sure. And so we know that currently Florida's law doesn't consider things like whether somebody is undetectable, doesn't even consider whether HIV is transmitted before potentially subjecting somebody to up to 30 years in prison. So I think there's some really compelling reforms in that space. We're so fortunate to have Senator Pizzo on the team with us trying to do that education in the Capitol and make positive changes there. And Senator Pizzo, I was hoping you could just tell us a little bit more about how the legislation fared this year throughout the process.
Well, that wasn't a slip; it failed. So when you say it failed, but so a 15-second civics lesson. You have a House and you have a Senate. You both file bills. They are referred to committees. You have to successfully get a majority vote through each committee before you get to the floor, which is the large dome room where we're all walking around looking very stately. And sometimes we're just making jokes, although it looks like we're saying serious things. And so you have to get through each one of those committees. And like I said, last year, we didn't get anywhere. We didn't even get through the first committee on either side. This year, the Senate side, we got through unanimously 9-0. And then another senator took a portion of the bill, which is the HIV positive to HIV positive organ donation. And we don't have pride of authorship, took that part of the bill, put it on her own, another senator, Senator Harrell, and that got all the way up until a floor vote, and then was parsed off into yet another one, which then died in communications between at the end. So if next year we follow the trend on this curve, we should be in a good position. Also, we certainly have to push our federal colleagues as well. I mean, the MSM, ban right now. I'll tell you, if I don't care who you are, if you have the antibodies and myself or my kid is sick, I really this arbitrary 12-month window that's just so draconian. These are things that just need to be changed. Again, I go back to we're in a situation where the present situation shows you on a hierarchy of severity of things and a placement and a triage of things about how the stigma attached to HIV is really ridiculous at this point.
Yeah, well, it's interesting to see how it takes a crisis sometimes for our different lawmaking bodies and the agencies involved to take a look at those policies, like you mentioned around the FDA's prohibition on blood donation for men who have sex with men.
Right.
And that under the Obama administration, they reduced it from a lifetime ban to only 12 months.
Right.
Now it is 3 months of contact. But really, even that we find isn't tied and based in science. So there's still a lot of stigma that's animating our policy at state and federal levels. And so a lot more work to go. But Alejandro,
I'm looking at this photo of Alejandro and Wes and Joe and everybody, and damn, they're all in really, really, really good shape. I'd take blood from any of you.
It's a good-looking bunch.
Indeed.
That was through the campaign.
That was. I had to suck it in for all 3 minutes of that photo.
You're canvassing.
Well, we're all struggling to keep in shape under our new circumstances. But Alejandro, for those who want to get engaged with the HIV advocacy program, what are some steps that they can take to be on the team?
So, of course, we have our Facebook page where we do a lot of posts about HIV, but we also have our own HIV advocacy private group. So if you are interested, we are hoping to make that very public soon because of this particular situation. We have so many people searching for information, not to bang on the same boat, but we also have our COVID-19 resources and a question and answer. We also have a great opportunity every year, and that is to go and meet people like Senator Pizzo. We go in our lobby days each year during session. We come up. This year we had a record-breaking 28 people living with HIV at the Capitol, educating lawmakers. We had Ariana Center, who is located in Miami and Broward, join us for this lobby days with a large amount of the transgender advocates who were actually identifying as people living with HIV or on PrEP. And to be honest, the first time I stepped in the Capitol and went and spoke to legislators, I felt like I was really making a difference. And I know for a fact that people who go to lobby days and who engage are part of the process, feel a sense of importance. that is unparalleled. And when we offer that opportunity for people living with HIV and just for the general population to come, it's amazing. So that's a great opportunity to engage with us and to actually go to Tallahassee and meet some of these great people who are making decisions for us.
Yeah, listen, if I may, emails are great, phone calls are great, posts are great, but even in political philosophies or ideology that I don't believe in, if somebody comes to my office and sits down with me and tells me their story, even things that I'm opposed to, it carries so much more weight, and that goes for both sides. There's people that come to me that express personal opinion and personal feelings and personal experience, and it's authentic. So you can't discount that. So a lot of campaigns are great, but to personally sit in front of a legislature, which you have access to, is invaluable.
And so, Senator Pizzo, since we do have a lot of potential Lobby Days participants watching online now, what guidance would you give somebody who's thinking about making their first trip to the Capitol to sit down and talk to somebody like you? You know, sometimes that's a really intimidating process for folks who aren't familiar with it, or even for those who are familiar with the process.
It is, but I like to disrupt and disturb that, which is typically sort of delicate and scary. So call us. If there's somebody in particular in your district that you want to meet with, you may be coming from a part of the Panhandle or some interior area of Florida that's a little bit more conservative than Miami is. Call us. We'll be your buddy system. We'll be your chaperone. We'll get it situated. A lot of times we'll meet with groups and we'll do it in a very conspicuous area because we know legislators will be walking by and they'll be like, "Hey, Senator, come on in here. I want to introduce you to some people." I mean, however it happens, however we make it work. But feel free to contact us. I'd like to say legislative friendlies. People that are enthusiastic about the cause, engaged in the mission. Just reach out to us and we'll help.
Thank you. Well, we appreciate you always having such an open door policy to everyone, as you said, regardless of ideology in the Capitol. And we've really seen that bear out in our own advocates. I know this session, we were fortunate to have one of our great volunteers come to the Capitol and share her personal story about being one of those beneficiaries as a person living with HIV of an organ donation from another person living with HIV. And having her in that space and being able to talk about that life-saving procedure was really so powerful, and educating lawmakers and staff on the fact that, when she received that organ donation, it didn't just help her as a person living with HIV, it helped everybody, because everybody on that transplant list moved up a space. Yep. So, having folks be able to be in that space and share their personal stories, like you said, and just their concerns and their feelings, we know is so vitally important. So
and
we really appreciate you.
Invite us to things that you guys have. That's important. One of the most effective things we did during the campaign is when we knew my opponent wouldn't show up to certain situations. That was almost as effective as winning that debate, so to speak. So if there's an event or something, invite your legislator. Their absence becomes very conspicuous and tells a lot. And it doesn't matter really at this point how desperately we need the change in legislation, whether you have to do it by education or shame. Let's get it done.
Absolutely. Well, we know we have a lot of those LGBTQ champions in positions around the state, whether it is at the state level, like you, Senator Pizzo, or our local electeds. And we really do so appreciate when they show up for things like Equality Live or our galas, when we're able to go back and actually have galas, and our Equality Connection events and happy hours. We really appreciate the show of support that you make just by being in those spaces. And I know you have routinely participated in panels and things locally, and our community is so appreciative of all of those efforts.
I appreciate you. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys.
I have to say, honestly, Senator Pizzo is one of the champions out there in the Capitol. So you guys need to keep this man up there. Whenever he's up for re-election, vote him again, because again, we need champions like him and allies like him who are determined to do and make a change. I've seen this man at work, and I see he's a tiger, for sure.
Well, thank you both for joining us today to talk about the HIV Advocacy Project. Really terrific work happening up here in the Capitol and around the state. Really excited to have all of that going on at Equality Florida. So, Senator, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you. I see Carlos and Ida and Joe and Ro, and hi, everybody.
Great. Well, I know we're going to turn it back to Ez and Nicole. And again, thank you all for stopping by our little corner of Tallahassee to say hello and check in on us. We love seeing you up here.
Thank you so much.
Yay!
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you to Senator Pizzo and also Dr. Servas. And Nicole, when Senator Pizzo was just talking right now, it really made me think of something that I think of when I do my work in the Safe and Healthy Schools program.
Absolutely.
People can hold their deeply held beliefs and their cultural backgrounds and their religious ideals, but they can also hold the fact that we need to meet each other with kindness and respect. I don't think that those two things have to be different. You can only choose one. So I think that that's a really important thing for all of our viewers to think about, and to have that as a base when they talk to people about supporting our work. You can have your traditions in your family or your backgrounds, but kindness and respect are two of the things that all people can connect around. So I don't know. I think about that a lot when I'm not doing my hair and my lips, So
I think that's a perfect point that you said. I think sometimes people think in order to be inclusive that you have to be open and willing to do anything, and I don't think that's necessarily true. I think you can still, like you said, have your own thoughts, your own feelings, but really just look at people like, number one, we're all human and we all just want to be happy, and I think a lot of times, sometimes it takes someone close to you to either be, LGBTQ or have something going on with them for you to kind of realize like, oh, okay, it can happen to anybody. And I think just naturally as humans, sometimes we're judgmental and stuff, but as a society, we have to kind of just move from that and really just look at people for people.
Totally agreed.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Have you ever been to Lobby Days?
Oh, heck yeah, twice.
Have you?
It was the most transformative 2 days of my year, really, because I got to hang out and lobby coach and talk to young people. So we did a lot of stuff about LGBTQ youth and families and helping youth self-empower and really going with the youth to talk to representatives and senators. And for me, it was so wonderful to sit back and to watch these kids talk to their elected officials. And at first the kids were like, oh, I'm a little scared to talk to them. And then we reminded them that they work for us, right? So when the kids kind of got that in their mind, they're like, now I can ask for what I need. Now I can tell them what we need in schools. So yeah, have you been to Lobby Days?
I haven't had a chance to, but I've had so many friends who really come back, and sometimes I think we think our elected officials are untouchable. You know what I mean? And you can't get in front of them and you can't really share your story. And I think when you're able to really share your story with someone who is elected and they're looking at you in the eye and they can feel your energy, I really think that's what changes the course of something, because you can see something on paper all day, but when you see a human being who it is affecting day by day and you see their demeanor, feel their energy, I really think it's that human aspect that we really need to kind of just keep moving as a society and really not look at things so technical. Sometimes we have to just remember we're all just people at the end of the day.
Exactly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Except me. I'm just more fabulous. We'll get there today. All right. Well, we're moving into the end of our Tallahassee section, and we'd like to give a huge thanks to those who have included Equality Florida in their planned giving. And this includes our Legacy Society. So thanks to our partners at Free Will. You can create your will at freewill.com. We're so grateful to those who are leaving a legacy of equality behind and helping us at Equality Florida to help future generations.
Now we are going to bring up our silent auction item.
Ooh!
Now remember, on our silent auctions, we have $20,000 in incredible prizes. And I want, first and foremost, do you see that? I know you see that. If you don't snatch it, I may. So, make sure that you go to it's Antigua. Who doesn't want to go to Antigua?
Yeah.
If you are interested in bidding in this, you can go to eqfl.org/equality live.
I'm getting that. Yep. I'm coming with all my Clorox wipes and I'm getting that. Okay. All right. One last time, we would love to thank our AIDS Healthcare Foundation partners for always being at our side, for standing with us in the fight for equality. And every dollar is being matched today through our Florida AIDS Walk team. And information's on your screen right now for how to donate. So really think about it. Give what you can. It's so much appreciated.
Wow, Ez, I have had such a great time here in Tallahassee with you.
I've had an amazing time too. Although those football games, you know. Dodging my Gators there. Chomp, chomp, chomp. Gators are coming to get the Seminoles.
Well, thank you all so much for joining us.
Yeah, all of our guests, you have been the best today. Hang in here with us because we are going somewhere exciting next. So
where are we going, Ez?
We're going to Key West. Key
Whoop,
West.
whoop. Hey, Brittany. Hey, Hannah.
Oh my gosh. How's it going? I'm going to add an extra flower.
Yes.
Put it on this side. We'll put it on.
We're doing well. We're just down here in Key West enjoying a cocktail, you know, living the life.
Exactly. Yeah. Nicole, I think Hannah wants your lipstick and Ez, I want your hair.
Well, I'll give you my coffee and I'll take your cocktail.
That sounds great. I like that.
And I'll go to Key West with you.
Yeah. Well, have an amazing time in Key West. Viewers, thank you so much for being with us in Tallahassee.
Thank you so much.
Lovely, lovely hosts for Key West. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, guys.